Okay, so today we're going to talk about a security flaw that is probably hiding in plain sight inside your own organization. You might have a top-notch zero-trust strategy, you might think you've got everything locked down, but you are almost certainly missing the one layer that truly matters. Let's get into it.
I want you to just look at this number for a second. 80%. This single number right here, it represents the core of a massive vulnerability that exists inside most companies today. And yeah, I'm talking about even those with really advanced security. So, what in the world does it mean?
You guessed it, a staggering 80% of all corporate data is unstructured. You know what I'm talking about. It's the Word documents with your next big product launch, the PDFs with sensitive financial reports, those spreadsheets just packed with customer data. We are so busy locking down our networks and our apps, but this absolute treasure trove of data, a lot of the time, it's just left completely exposed.
And this quote just hits the nail on the head, doesn't it? Cybercriminals are not breaking in to admire your beautiful network architecture. They want what's on it. They're after your data. So, and this is the crucial point, if your data is insecure, then nothing is secure. Period. So, what is the fundamental problem here? Well, it turns out that many of today's best security frameworks have this huge gap, this blind spot that leaves your most valuable assets just wide open for attackers.
And this slide lays it out perfectly. Look, traditional zero trust is fantastic at locking down identity, the network, and applications. It does a great job, but then it just stops. It creates this really secure perimeter around all your systems, but what about the unstructured data inside of them? That's the vulnerability. That's the gap.
Okay, so how do we close this gap? Well, the solution is a new layer of security, one that's designed specifically for the data itself. It's called Zero Trust Data Access, or ZTDA for short. The best way to think about ZTDA is like a bouncer, but for your data. So instead of just guarding the front door of the club, this bouncer checks the ID of every single person who tries to access a specific piece of information, and it only grants them access for the exact amount of time they need it. It applies these critical principles, like least privilege, directly to the files themselves, no matter where they're stored. And this is a really fundamental shift in how we need to think about security. It moves the focus from protecting the perimeter to protecting the prize, the data itself. And that is an absolute game changer, because the data is what attackers are after, and that's where the real damage is done in a breach. So the platform that makes this powerful Ztata capability a reality is called FileFlex Enterprise, and it's designed to give you total control over your data. But, and this is key, without the headache of ripping out and replacing all of your existing infrastructure.
So how does it pull this off? Well, FileFlex Enterprise is an overlay service. It uses these secure connectors to just sit on top of all your existing storage. Doesn't matter if it's on-premise servers, in the cloud, on SharePoint, you name it, and it federates the access. Now, the magic here is that your data never has to move. You get super secure access and sharing, but you get it without the cost, the complexity, and frankly, the risk of a massive data migration.
Now let's just compare this to a traditional VPN, which, let's be honest, is what a lot of companies still rely on. With a VPN, the security model basically trusts the network once you're inside. FileFlex ZTDA, on the other hand, it trusts nothing. It verifies every single request. A VPN exposes the entire network to a user, while FileFlex only exposes the specific files they're authorized to see. And finally, a VPN often leads to data being copied all over the place, but with FileFlex, the data never ever leaves its source. It's just a fundamentally more secure and efficient model.
And you know what's really compelling about this solution? The speed. You can get this level of granular control in just a day. Seriously, you install it as an overlay, you connect your storage, define your policies, and that's it. You're done. Your users get secure, direct access without months and months of complex, painful integration work.
Okay, so this all sounds great in theory, right? But let's talk about the real world. Organizations across really critical industries are using this approach to get real, tangible security wins. Let's check out a few examples.
So take a financial institution. They used FileFlex to create what are essentially zero-trust virtual data rooms. This completely centralized and secured their highly sensitive mortgage workflows, making sure that confidential client info was protected right at the data level. And that just dramatically reduced the risk of a breach.
How about critical infrastructure? A nuclear power utility used ZTDA to secure access to these massive technical libraries that were just sitting on old legacy FTP servers. They were able to completely modernize their security without having to replace their old systems.
I mean, that's a huge operational and financial win.
Or look at a law firm. For them, the challenge was giving their lawyers secure but still cost-effective access to incredibly sensitive case files. FileFlex delivered true zero-trust access directly to their existing storage, which was absolutely crucial for protecting client confidentiality.
And finally, in healthcare, where data privacy is everything, a hospital implemented ZTDA to lock down the access and sharing of personal health information. This was a game-changer for them in meeting strict HIPAA compliance requirements.
All right, so as we start to bring this all home, let's just nail down the most important points. What should you really take away from this look at your data's final line of defense?
The really crucial takeaway here is that ZTA is absolutely essential for closing that massive gap in your security. It finally lets you protect your most valuable asset, that 80% of unstructured data. You get to modernize access without a risky, expensive migration project, and you can dramatically reduce your compliance risk with these granular, auditable controls.
And that brings us to the final question I really want to leave you with. I want you to take a hard look at your own environment. If your network is locked down, if your applications are locked down, but that 80% of unstructured data is not, are you truly secure? Think about it. Thanks for tuning in.